If you're implementing ISO 9001, you've probably heard the term interested parties, but a lot of businesses get confused about what this actually means. Is it just customers? Is it everyone connected to the business? Or is it something auditors expect a complicated document for? In this video, we're going to break down ISO 9001 clause 4.2. We're going to explain what the standard actually says, what it means in plain English, what businesses need to do to comply, how you could manage this using ISO Smart System, and some common mistakes auditors see all the time. And if you're currently implementing ISO 9001, we've also got a free ISO 9001 gap analysis you can download. The link is in the description below. But let's start with what the standard actually says. So let's grab a copy of our standard. So 4.2, understanding the needs and expectations of interested parties. So due to their effect or potential effect on the organisation's ability to consistently provide products and services that meet customer and applicable statutory and regulatory requirements, the organisation shall determine A, the interested parties that are relevant to the quality management system, and B, the requirements of those interested parties that are relevant to the quality management system. The organisation shall monitor and review information about these interested parties and their relevant requirements. And then in 2024, due to the amendment, there's been a new note added, and that is relevant interested parties can have requirements related to climate change. So what does that mean in plain English? In simple terms, 9001 wants you to understand who has an interest in how your business operates and what they expect from you. And it's not just customers. Anyone who could influence your ability to deliver consistent quality products or services could be considered an interested party. Examples might include customers, employees, regulators, suppliers, business owners or shareholders, certification bodies and contractors or partners. But an important point here is you don't need to list everyone in the world. 9001 only requires you to identify interested parties that are relevant to your quality management system. So the key question becomes, who could impact our ability to consistently deliver quality? So a quick question for you watching this. When you implemented 9001, or if you're currently implementing it, who did you include as your interested parties? Was it just customers and suppliers, or did you include employees and regulators as well? Drop a comment below. It's always interesting to see how different organisations approach this. Let's now look at what businesses actually need to do to meet clause 4.2. So there are 3 practical steps. So step 1 being identify the interested parties. So start by identifying who has an interest in your organisation. So like before, typical examples could include customers, employees, regulators, suppliers, shareholders or owners, contractors or partners. For example, if you're a manufacturing company, regulators might be an important interested party because of compliance requirements. If you're a service business, customers, employees might be the most critical. The goal here is to simply identify the key groups that influence your ability to deliver quality. Step 2, identify their requirements. So next you need to identify what those interested parties expect from your business. So these requirements could be legal, regulatory, contractual, or simply expectations. For example, customers may expect consistent product quality, on-time delivery, good communication. Employees might expect safe working conditions, clear processes, and proper training. Regulators could expect compliance with legislation. Suppliers may want clear purchasing requirements, prompt payment, and accurate specifications. Once you understand those expectations, they can influence how your quality management system is designed. Step 3, monitor and review. So this is the part many businesses forget. So clause 4.2 also says organisations must monitor and review this information. That means this exercise shouldn't just happen once during the implementation. You should review it periodically. So typical review points include during management review meetings, when the business expands, when new regulations appear, or when new major customers are onboarded, things like that. Essentially, if the context of the organisation changes, your interested parties might change as well. So let's take a look at how this might look inside of a system like ISO Smart. So within the platform, we typically manage this using an interested parties register. So for example, you might add an entry like customer. So we go to add. Our customer is our interested party. And their requirement or needs and expectations could be products delivered on time, and to specification. Now, what we could do is we could risk rate this as well. So what is the sort of likelihood and severity of us not doing anything about this? So could this be quite critical to our business? I would probably say yes. So let's say if we don't have any controls in place, the likelihood is 4, probably likely to happen. And the severity could be quite significant because obviously it would damage our reputation, customers wouldn't come back, things like that. We could then put some controls and recommendations in place and then again sort of look at our risk analysis after that, so our residual risk. But that is more later on in a future clause. So just for now, because it won't let me save it, I'm just going to put test and mark these down so I can click save. Another example could be, let's say, a regulatory, I can't spell today, regulatory body, and theirs is compliance with applicable legislation. Again, we could say in here that the likelihood of it happening it could be a 4 again, and the severity could be 5 because it could obviously result in prosecution or company penalties, things like that. Again, I'm not going to put any controls in for now. We just want to save this. But as you can see here, we've already have some populated in here. But as we go on, we can add more and more to the system. And as you can see, there is a fair few different types of interested parties in here. And then we can see sort of the risk ratings around those as well. And then obviously we can focus on our sort of higher risks of what we're going to do to mitigate or control that moving forward. So this creates a clear record showing that your organisation understands who the interested parties are, what their expectations are, and how those expectations are monitored, which is exactly what auditors are looking for. Now, if you're watching this and thinking, I'm not actually sure how well we do this, that's exactly where a gap analysis helps. We put together a free gap analysis you can download. It walks you through the key areas and it helps you identify what you're doing well and, most importantly, where the gaps are to the standard. I'll drop a link in the description below. That's our gift to you. Enjoy. So let's talk about some common mistakes we see when auditing organisations against clause 4.2. So mistake number 1, only listing customers. So a lot of businesses assume interested parties equals customers, but auditors expect you to consider a wider group. So for example, employees, regulators, suppliers. All of these can influence how your business operates. Mistake number 2, so listing too many stakeholders. So the opposite mistake is creating a huge list with dozens of stakeholders. Remember the wording in the standard, relevant interested parties. You only need to include those that affect your quality management system. A list of 5 to 10 is usually more than enough for most organisations. Mistake number 3, no evidence of review. So another common issue is that the interested parties document gets created during implementation and then never updated again. Auditors will often ask, when was the last review? So if it hasn't changed in years, it suggests the process isn't actually being maintained. Mistake number 4, no link to the QMS. So the final mistake is treating this as a standalone document. Interested parties should influence things like risks and opportunities, quality objectives, and compliance obligations. Otherwise, it just becomes paperwork rather than something useful. Have you ever had an auditor challenge your interested parties list? It happens more often than people think. If you have, share your experience in the comments. It's always useful for others to going through the ISO certification process. So just to recap, clause 4.2 of 9001 is about understanding who has an interest in your organisation and what they expect from you. To comply, you need to identify relevant interested parties, understand their requirements, and monitor and review them over time. When done properly, this helps ensure your quality management system reflects the real expectations placed on your business. Now, if you're following our ISO 9001 Explained series, make sure you subscribe because the next video will be covering clause 4.3. Determining the scope of the quality management system. And if you're implementing 9001 right now, don't forget to download the free gap analysis checklist in the description below. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.